Hello and welcome to the SC Playbook podcast, the NRL Supercoach Round 10 edition, proudly brought to you by Paddy and George from Mortgage Choice SCW. I'm your host, Tim Williams, here today for our Origin Buy Planning Special Edition episode 2019 NRL Supercoach Champion Dez Creek. Desi, welcome back, mate.
Good to be back. Not the best week for me. Got about 1,220. Dropped about 800 spots, so still inside the top 5,000, but I was in the top 1,000 2 weeks ago, so it's I'm plummeting at the moment. We've got to find something. We've got to dig deep.
That's right, mate. It's not any dramatic drops there. You're still very much in the hunt there. Also with us today, 2021's 91st placed finisher, the SC Spy. Spy, welcome back, mate, after a week off.
Thanks, fellas. Speaking of 91st, I was looking all right a couple of weeks ago. Thought I'd hit it nice and early, surge to the top. I tell you what, I've had an emotional roller coaster of a couple of weeks. I was going to come in here with an utter blow up because nothing has gone my way. But that is sport, and that just means the Supercoach gods owe me one. One example, I'll give one example. Every person that gets sin-binned is against the players that I don't want to go well at the moment. I'm like, can you give me something? So this weekend, watch out, something's got to go my way. Maybe a drinky against 11 men or something, but it's killing me. Anyway, I was 3K a couple of weeks ago, sitting at 10K now, so it hasn't been dramatic. The boys have lifted amidst the turmoil, but I'm with you, Desi. We need to dig deep now. That little down period, and it's time to get back up in the game because you don't want to drag this for too long, or your season will just get into that mediocre stage of making it too hard to launch a title campaign. So let's rock. It
ties Spy nicely into my result for the week. I scored 1,317 points. Thank you, Jahrome Isaako. And I moved up about 6,000 spots into 10K overall. And I wrote in my Supercoach analysis of the team list today. I get so many questions from people saying, like, should I, I'm ranked X amount, 10K, 20K, 30K. Is it too late to win it overall? Is it time to throw in the towel and give up, delete the app? Is it time to change my focus from overall to head-to-head? Pardon me. And do all that. And it's the same response every time. And it's that Supercoach is a roller coaster and it can change so quickly. I plummeted 2 weeks ago. I dropped nine 10K spots in a week to 16,000 overall. Had a good week this week, and by 13-17, it was a good week. There are a lot bigger scores than me out there. There are 1400s out there as well.
It was solid.
It was a strong week.
Yep.
But there are a lot of 1400s out there that I saw, and I went up 6,000 spots to 10K. So another good week this week. The Stallions are up into 3,000 overall. Alternatively, a bad week, I'm back to 16,000. Like, it swings so quickly. You've seen it the last couple of weeks, Spy. Des, you've had a few drops but held relatively strong. So just be aware, the game can change very quickly.
And what I will say on that is that's particularly evident at this stage of the season. Like, it's around, 9 or something. If it's around 20, then it does start to get trickier to make up ground because the gaps get bigger and bigger, but it's still not that big. But as I said, I want to get moving now. Get a crack on, so yeah.
Matty the Waterboy is going to be the MVP of this podcast, and he's not going to say a word because he's on his deathbed at the moment. He's crook as a dog, but it's a performance. Well, it hasn't happened yet, but the lift to get up for this podcast, it reminds me of Paul Gallen, State of Origin, might have been 2013, 14, 80 minutes at prop forward in the toughest arena in world sport. 2011 game 2, there he is, and he said words, so he stuffed my call already. He is in all sorts, though, so we won't be throwing to Matty today, but a big thank you. It's a big lift from him to get the Playbook podcast out and on time as normal this week.
Me and Matty have a fantastic relationship. He just blew up at me for the first time for talking, so
yeah.
I actually felt bad because it sucks being crook and everyone's just chatting away, so we'll carry on. Let's go.
Matty's ready to get to bed. Guys, Bloke 2024 jerseys, if you watch the Bloke in the Bar podcast or follow our reels, any of that sort of stuff on socials, went live yesterday on sale. There's still a handful of those left. They are unbelievable. To get one of those, the remaining jerseys, go to bloke.shop. Absolute crackers. Lastly, guys, Magic Round coming up next week. One of the best weekends of the year. So much fun. We are going to be doing a little SC Playbook catch-up Friday afternoon. We'll confirm, but probably at the Caxton, just in the car park. would say around about 3 o'clock before that first game on Friday night. Spy will be there, Clem will be there. There's a few other SC Playbook contributors going to be there. So come along, say good day. We'll have a beer together, have a bit of a chat about all things Supercoach. We'll confirm that later in the week.
I don't care if I'm on my deathbed that day either. I will be there. So if that's the case, just bring your hand wash because we will still be punching schooners.
You'll be on your deathbed Monday morning, Spy. You'll be all right on
That's
Friday.
That's fine. Don't about Monday.
Guys, the SC Playbook Unlimited League. Jiglin Jezza, coached by Jeremy, won the week overall in our league with 1,542 points. He also had the top score in all of Supercoach, so congratulate to Jezza. Get this one, Desi. Threw a social post out this afternoon. We currently have in the top 10 overall rankings, 2nd, 3rd, 5th, 7th, 8th and 9th in our group.
We're doing something right.
We're doing something right.
We're doing
surely.
something right. We don't have first place, though. That's
don't
the
have
main
first.
one.
But you don't
Not
need
hunting
first
it.
yet. Don't worry about that yet.
Yeah.
Later.
First is used too many trades. They're not building. Lovey's Meter Eaters, coached by Kyle, is 2nd overall, leading our group. $1,000 up for grabs to the top-ranked subscriber to win that. If a non-subscriber to the website and the podcast wins that, it'll be $500 to them, $500 to the subscriber. We'll lock out entries to that in a couple of weeks' time. At the start of round 13, normally do it. The code to jump in is 743596. If you did want to join the SC Playbook community and get amongst our premium content, including the world-famous WhatsApp group, check out our subscription page on site. Head to scplaybook.com.au and find the subscribe tab in the menu there. Not only do you get a ton of extra content, but you support the podcast for all the time and effort that does go into it. On that one, my big backflip last week changed my plans entirely around Fafita, Fuller, a few different things. Just did a bit extra research. Ended up bringing in Fafita, Fuller, used a boost. I dropped that in our WhatsApp chat got a new phone last week. Great news because my old phone couldn't do voice recordings. With voice recordings explaining all the moves, why that happened, why I backflipped. A little bit more on that later in the show. Lastly from me before we get into it, today's show, Origin period buy planning, a deep dive into that, much to Matty's dismay that we're doing it this week. We will be looking at the teams and players to target during the Origin period, including the Origin players that are worth cutting ties with due to bad draws there. The best Ryan Papenhuyzen replacements at fullback. These boys are owners, so we'll be looking at who they're going to there. Team List Tuesday analysis, dramas for Terrell May. Hot topics. Do you go Isaako, Garrick, Dom Young? Who's the pick of them? We drop our round 10, trades and skippers, listen to questions. Boys, let's get stuck into it. Team List Tuesday. Trey Fuller, named for the Dolphins. Herbie Farnworth returns. Thank God Trey Fuller's in. 170k profit last week. I did pull the trigger and went Tommy Turbo to him. It was a very nervous watch, that Manly Raiders game, and there's a few reasons why I got rid of Tommy Turbo. We'll touch on them later on, but Trey Fuller, 170k, only scored 38 points. Tommy was on 70 after about 20 minutes, and I just thought I was going to get 200 against the Raiders of all teams. Scored about 20 points in the last 60 minutes, so held on there. Fuller has been named, so good news there. Plays this week, more money incoming, hopefully a good score to go with it.
How nervous were you at 3:59 when it went to 4 o'clock, team list came out and you went down, saw Trey, and then did you go to the extended bench to see
straight away
if Hammer was back? And he wasn't, so big for
So I saw a bit of early mail that Herbie was back, and I just went, I knew that Fuller, currently not in the top 30, had been given like dispensation from the NRL to play, and I did my homework on it last week, and dead set, I called up Hammer's physio, his doctors, asked him what their thoughts were, how long he was going to be, and I thought, if Herbie is like eligible to play fullback or however they do that, he wouldn't have been allowed in, so I was still nervous. But yes, no Hammer, so thankfully for that, Trey Fuller, an okay buy thus far. Ben Trebojevic returns, Burbo, for the Manly Seagulls, and he's starting. I actually held on to him, boys, a break even of 5. Look, I certainly won't be playing him, but it'd be good to see that extra cash come in. Did you hold Desi?
I didn't. No.
Nah, me those.
Yeah.
Can't trust those Hemmies anymore.
As I said, wouldn't be buying, but
Can't trust Manly anymore.
full stop. Boys, Nathan Cleary named to return after being rested last week for the Penrith Panthers. A bit more on him later. Isaac Tungo is out. Real question on Taylor May, and this is me being a very optimistic owner after he got his first major attacking stat of the year last week. It took some lousy South Sydney defence, a tap restart for him to get that try. But with Isaac Tungo out, chance by maybe that Alamotti plays left centre, Taylor May on the right against the Doggies with Cleary back?
Yeah, right. I didn't think of that.
Speculative, but if Alamotti's better on the left.
Well, man, yeah, it makes sense, doesn't it? It's so we don't even know, do we?
I just rattled you earlier.
I know, because you'll know why later.
We'll get to that later. It's purely speculative, and I expect Terrell May to stay on the left. I don't see why they'd tinker with combinations too much.
They might want him to touch the ball a couple of times.
But from memory, Alamotti did play on the left at the Bulldogs. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he was. So if he is a left side specialist, could happen. He
did kill it on the left 2 weeks ago, so heads up.
So that is exciting if it is for Terrell May owners. Blaze Talangi, the early season cheapie named at fullback for the Eels. Break even of 45. He's got a 12 in his rolling average. That is with Clint Gutherson out for an extended period. So good news for those who held, but there's a bit of work to do to get some cash rolling, and he'll need a few weeks of good scores. Did either of you hold Blaze Talangi?
Nope.
Gone. Brendan Hands drops out for the Eels. Good news for Joey Lussick's 80-minute prospects. Josh Rogers debuts for the Broncos at halfback in place of the injured Adam Reynolds. Jock Madden is hurt, but he should be back within the next couple of weeks. Jesse Arthur's out, injured as well, broken jaw. Can't take a trick, that bloke. And more so, his Supercoach owners, very unlucky. Very unlucky, Jesse Arthur's. Corey Oates on the wing. At the Tigers, by Isaiah Papali'i, named at lock. John Bateman on the edge. My question here is around Samuel Afainu's job security, because he still looks a good buy to me, but look, the Tigers aren't winning games. His break-even's still about 30 to 40 odd, so he's on my radar, possibly even next week for Sam Hughes. But just this chopping and changing between the edges and lock has me a little bit concerned. How do you feel?
Look, on the positive side, they're literally finding a way to keep him on the left edge there, playing 80 minutes.
Yeah.
Trying to flip the big boys in the middle and on the right edge. The negative side, if it doesn't fully work out with Papali'i in the middle, and Bateman they obviously didn't necessarily prefer in the middle either, then he might be the one that gets cut. Not for the match, but for limited minutes. So let's wait and see. But I mean, seems all right, doesn't he, at the price at the moment? But next week might have a
I really like him. I just think with the job security in the minutes, it's probably worth giving another week.
And then Sam Hughes, like, he started to play decent minutes as well, and he's shown a bit. So, you know, we don't want to be wasting trades, but let's pencil that in for next week's chat.
Desi Api Coruscant, named for the Tigers. You're an owner. I believe Spy is too. Named, hopefully good to go. Back spasms. I know, pre-show in the green room, you're a bit iffy. You didn't know what to do with him. What's your vibe on Appy? Provided he does obviously play this week, what are you thinking?
I think if he plays, then you keep him and play him. Yeah, it really burnt me last week because I had Lussick as well on the bye. Appy getting ruled out, and then my A was... Joe Chan, 15 points.
Played in the centres because of the injuries.
And rolling on from the first couple of games, I had Terrell May because I didn't play him like an idiot. Sat here last week and said Terrell May will come good, and then didn't even play him.
We've got two idiots on the panel.
Well, while we're on him, let me have a go.
Already.
I was just waiting for a time to chime in. Terrell May. Started with him. Talked to I was his boy all pre-season, man, guru, love him.
You were his boy, or he was your boy?
A bit of both.
Terrell May was a big
fun times. He loves the show. Anyway, last week I was literally sitting there. This started the onslaught. Actually, it was here the second game Friday night, so I'd just been through Garrick and Turbo carving up during the freaking sin bin. Like, that's all right, got away with that one. Terrell May, he was on 30 with 20 minutes left. But then Broncos got away. Sorry, Broncos lost a heap of players. Roosters got away. I thought White was going to come back on with about 20 to go, which I reckon was the plan in a tight game. It's got out to about 20. They had no players left. They had a sin bin, and I think Robbo's just gone, mate, I need to get some minutes somewhere. Stay on. Oh, I've never sworn on here. He bags a freaking double. He's gone from 30 to 120 and a line break assist, and it cost me like 90 points. And I don't know for a fact, but I'm pretty sure he would have played 30 minutes and got 30 in a tighter game, and Broncos just got decimated. I was so cranky.
Don't worry about your spot. Yes, mate. We'll be able to get Matty to blur out the friggin' you just dropped on the podcast, so we'll be okay.
It was going to be worse.
You were ready to go there, weren't you? And drop the F-bomb. You dropped the soft F-bomb.
But I'm a good boy. But this week, which I think you're about to get to, but 4 forward bench, they're all middles. This is why I traded him. It could not have worked out worse, but it was a preemptive trade, and I'm feeling good about it now, but I'll forever be cranky about that last 20 minutes.
So if we are...
Tangent from Coruscant, but yeah, hold on to Coruscant. He'll probably come good.
I don't own...
As long as he's not injured, I'm going to play him.
I actually don't own Appy. I'll really wanted him, but I think we spoke about it pre-season. If they're named, they're good to go, aren't they? That's our new policy.
You hope so.
Well, if they play, they're good to go. If they're named, coming out from injury, not necessarily.
Yeah. Oh, in the last hour.
Right, he's good. Yeah. I mean, on the Roosters, they're Tupu, Jahrome Hughes, Spencer Leniu, Victor Radley, all back from injury. Boys, Terrell May, I was skipping ahead to the hot topics here a little bit, but he's the 7th most traded in play this week, 533k, 14 break even. It's just not a go.
Just don't do it.
The minutes aren't there.
So what's changed from my pre-season is I believe White has jumped him in the pecking order, which wasn't the case in the first 4 or 5 rounds. It appears Robbo's pretty high on White, which means he's now down to where White was at about 25 minutes. That's what it seems to be. So, look, that could change. Maybe it's a bit of a rotation policy, but you can't be buying him now.
No, don't buy him. I held him for the Origin period buy coverage, and I was willing to lose 100k on him. It's just worked out miraculously because now he's got that inch rolling average. I'm not going to lose the coin, and he'll play, I think, round 13 and round 16 with Lindsay Collins on Origin duties. But regardless, they have so many forwards. So he's not a buy this week, so I wouldn't be enticed into that one at all, especially in Maria Hargreaves' 300th game. Like, he's getting decent minutes, so he's not going to...
It doesn't look good for him, but look, it's a strange rotation at the Chooks this year, but a lot to fit in.
Boys, Tyson Frizzell returns for the Knights on the edge, pushing Dylan Lucas to the bench. Moses Sully pushes Zach Lomax back to the wing. A big win for Lomax owners. Latrell Mitchell back for the Bunnies at fullback from suspension. A raft of changes at the Bunnies. We don't have long enough to go through all the things going on at that club at the moment, but steer clear. Jahrome Hughes out with a calf injury. Desi, if you're a Jahrome Hughes owner, I believe Clementine Cassidy, who will be back on the show in the next couple of weeks, she'll also be firing on all cylinders at Magic Round. I think she sold Cleary for Hughes last week.
Can confirm she did.
And
he got 20 as well.
Well, he said he felt a pop in his calf like 20 minutes into the game. And because they had other injuries, he played it out. But would you be provided we get word that it's only 1 week injury? It didn't seem... He played through the game.
I read something just for this. Looks to be more than 1 week, maybe 3.
Okay, sell.
See you later.
Sell straight back to Cleary.
Oh, Clem, that hurts. Ryan Papenhuyzen is out. Back on more on him shortly. Sua Failogo, 339k. Jules CT dub fullback. We'll get to him in that. Actually, no, we'll go to Sua Failogo now because he's Jules CT dub fullback. Boys, when I saw Ryan Papenhuyzen go down, my heart broke. As a non-owner, Supercoach wise, there's always a little bit of yes, good for my Supercoach team, but there are 2 blokes that even if you don't own them and they're hurting you, that you just don't want to see hurt. It's Ryan Papenhuyzen, it's Tom Trbojevic. They've been through enough bad luck. Yeah. I'm like, I don't want to see these blokes' pain ever. I don't want to see anyone else's, but from purely Supercoach scoring perspective. Anyway.
That was Saturday night's roller coaster.
Yeah, my mind did jump immediately to Sua Failogo. This rookie sensation was playing on the wing for them. He's 339k. Named this week, also under a bit of an injury cloud himself, but Jules CT dub fullback. I like him as a buy because I think he can play him. I think he can come in and score very, very well for 3 weeks. The issue is Pappy's 4 to 6 weeks. Sua will get 3 games. They then have the bye. Pap could easily be back that week. There's every chance you're probably going to get 3 weeks for him. I think he's good enough that he could potentially hold a wing spot, but you've got Warbrick and Coach due back. Desi, Failogo, would you be tempted or is there just not enough games?
You can be tempted for sure. He looked very good when he scored that try, the little in and out move he did. But I think he only scored 2 points or 3 points in the second half.
He had a HIA.
Then a knee knock and went off.
Yeah.
So he played like 8 minutes.
That's already got to be alarm bells if you're going to.
And he was coming back from injury recently.
That's my worry as well, mate. If he's healthy, so he's actually scored. I think he's played 50 minutes at fullback in the NRL and he's scored 3 tries so far. So he's a freak. But that's my only concern is around those injuries. Is he still carrying it? Is he going to get through 80? Yeah,
I'm all for loading up on Melbourne players right now. Though Melbourne and the Roosters look the 2 best teams.
He's got a break even of 30, so it's like...
I think he's only played 1 game as well, so price won't change.
So you can certainly wait, but even if you wait, it's like you could be getting him for 2 games.
I still feel like I'd nearly... If he plays well this week, I'll be happy to get him next week at that price and just keep him there for the year. Play him when he plays, because he's so good.
And next week, bye. Yeah. Boys... Where's that got us to? Kurt Capewell, injured for the New Zealand Warriors. Mitch Barnett moves to the edge. Now, let's get to our origin period bye planning conversation. And a few little things to note before we get into the particular teams and the players with the strongest and weakest draws, who's impacted over origin, etc. Firstly, and certainly for those new to Supercoach, origin period bye planning, what we're about to speak about, it's relevant to both head-to-head and overall players, but it is more tailored towards overall players. If you're in your head-to-head, playing head-to-head focus, and you're not really worried about your overall league rankings, you're just worried about beating your mates, check your league settings. Some will be set that in the 3 major bye rounds that we're going to allude to, where half the competition are on the bye, that's rounds 13, 16 and 19, some head-to-head leagues will have byes that week, so it's completely irrelevant. There will be ones out there, though, and probably the majority, I'd say, of head-to-head leagues would still have head-to-head fixtures that week where it impacts your ladder and all that sort of stuff. So have a look at that first and foremost. On those 3 rounds, rounds 13, 16 and 19, half the competition are on byes. We get 3 trades those round up from the regular 2, and that's 4 trades with a boost if you want to do it. On those rounds, your top 13 scoring players from your 25-man squad counts. So if you have 15 scoring players, 2 of them aren't going to count towards your total. It's also worth noting that rounds 14, 17 and 20, there are 3 teams on the bye. They're the weeks after Origin, where Origin players often won't back up as well. Often the most deceptive and toughest ones of the period. And also on those weeks, it's the top 17 scoring players as normal, and you pick your 17. So keep note of them when you do your bye planning. Spy, I think just firstly, can you have a little bit of a chat to us about how this period differs for overall and head-to-head focused players?
Mate, I just think you've nailed most of it. What I would say, though, is if you're sitting in a position come Origin time where you need a win in your head-to-head, or you're sitting 10th or 12th, or you're dead last and you just have to make a run, that's when you can bring in a few blokes that cover these rounds. What I would always do, though, when I used to play head-to-head, was I'd look ahead. Say I was playing Desi in round 13. I'd actually look at his side and count the numbers of guys he had available. Sometimes you'd find he had 3 people, and you don't have to do anything, because you might have 8, you know you're going to win. On the flip side, he might have 14 and you've got 4, so it's like, well, I'm not going to waste trades trying to win that matchup. So it's almost like target your matchups, and just if you need to make a couple of trades in order to get the 2 points there, just do it. Get your win in. But as you said, if you're sitting top of the table, you're cruising, maybe just ignore it. Plan for the long run. A bit like Penrith this year, sitting Cleary. Just don't worry about it. Focus on finals. But yeah, I think it's all about the position on the table you're in. But you can get a perfectly easy look at who you're playing in those rounds and see if you need to do anything in order to get the win. Then decide if you want to get the win or not.
And I think more importantly, like as an overall look at the head-to-head focus through this period of the season, through the Origin period, rounds 13 to sort of 19, 20 we're alluding to, just don't tear your team apart. Like, it's more important to save a few trades through this period to make sure you do have them come head-to-head finals time at the end of the season and for the back end where you need to be notching these wins together. We're going to have someone on in the next few weeks trying to do a bit of content, written content as well on the SC Playbook website around that to help those head-to-head specific players and talk about the difference between that, the strategy, and how, you know, the players that might be relevant to head-to-head but not so much to overall. Just working out a few things around all of that, but that'll be hopefully very helpful for those head-to-head focused players. Now, let's get into the players with the best draws. And just remember, guys, this is a guide. So apply it as you please to your team. It's a basic overview that we'll touch on now. We have the full article on our website, written by Jay Schubert, the man, the myth, the legend himself, married last week as well. So congratulations to Jay and his lovely new wife.
Knocked out the article on the honeymoon. Love to see that.
Yeah. But for example, you might be stacked your team with numbers for round 13, but in which case you'd focus on round 16 and 19. On the flip side, you might have none for 13, so it's going to be different for everyone else. But let's just stuck into it. And the first team I will touch on with the best, the ultimate bye period schedule is the Dolphins. They play all 3 major bye rounds, round 13, round 16, round 19. Desi, the 3 that stand out to me here are Jahrome Isaako, big reason I brought him in last week. Kiwi, he'll be playing all of those barring injury. Maxi Plath, ticking along well, played big minutes on the weekend again. And at hooker, someone on my radar, Jeremy Marshall-King, will get all 3 for yourself. Do any of those 3 appeal?
Oh, you almost talked me into Isaako last week. You sat here and you said, you know, I was going along the lines of probably getting in Val Holmes instead, which I ended up doing. But yeah, two guys that I wanted were Garrick and Isaako, and they scored 5 tries between them. So, you know, what can you do? It's just one of those times. So, but yeah, he looks exciting. He looks like he's going to keep scoring tries. I don't see it stopping. Even against good opposition, they'll probably get it to him. He seems to just, you know, be able to pile on the points in short amount of time. You sit there as a non-owner, he's on 20, 30 points. Next time you look, he's on 100. You want someone like that in your team. For me, he's the number 1 buy for this entire buy period across all teams.
Spy, my one concern with Isaako even buying him last week was that Isaako playing on the right wing, and then Isaiah Katoa on the left edge, just becoming a really dominant ball playing half. And Bostock had seen a lot of the attacking ball this season. Before last week, Isaako only had 3 tries. I was worried they were just going to the left a little bit more often. But on the weekend, it was the Cody Nikorima show on the right wing. You often saw Isaiah Katoa doing what he does best, and he'd sort of roam to the right edge, straighten up, create a bit of space, then hit a sweeping Cody Nikorima.
You love that.
So it ended up terrific for it. On the Dolphins, Isaako, Plath, JMK, anyone else, what do you reckon?
Firstly, if I seem to be shrinking, it's because this chair's it's starting here. Hopefully it's like my ranking coming weeks, 10,000, 8, 7, 6. It's down about 40 at the moment. So I'm fixing every 3 minutes. It's doing my back in, but we'll battle through. Isaako, love him. Absolutely love him. I was a whisker from getting him last week myself. I ended up going in a different direction and getting Fanua Blake up front there because I really needed to sort that out. At the price now, he's back up around his starting price. He's an interesting one. I think it's hard to tell if he's going to score a heap more hat-tricks week in, week out, or if it's going to become something that's sort of out of the blue. Because we know he's got him in him. As you alluded to earlier, on that left edge, that's seeing a lot more quality footy this season. The Cowboys are a rabble in defence at the moment, so I don't think that will necessarily be the norm. But he's going to get chances against sides who are struggling in defence. So as someone who owns, it's a fantastic buy. Now you've got to make the decision of if he's someone you want for the run home. I love him. If you're not,
He's definitely a top 5 centre
if you're in a position to get him this week, he's not the only good buy. There's a lot of good centre buys.
We'll get to those shortly.
So that's the only thing reason. But yeah, I can't go past him. Plath is interesting. Once they get a few boys back, what's his minutes going to be like? He's now risen in cash. Probably someone I'm going to let go now. He doesn't have the huge ceiling. And JMK, 100%. If Robson gets named for Origin, hello.
Yeah. Isaako, great buy. JMK, great buy. No need to rush that one until sort of round 13. See what happens with the Origin teams. Plath, I'm a bit with you. If you bought him earlier, happy days, but no need to sort of rush to that one. Teams playing the first 2 of the 3 major buy-ins. So playing round 13 and round 16. Pretty hot property as well. The Raiders, the Roosters, the Bulldogs. At the Raiders, the ones that sort of come to mind here are Joe Tarpany, who will be at a reasonable price. Matty Timoko as a pod option, and then probably the big question, the one that I'll start with for you boys, Morgan Smithies, whether or not he's a hold or a sell for this period. Desi, I'll start with you.
That's a tough one. I think you could probably get away with selling him. You kind of know what he's going to score. He's plodding along. He's going to score between 40 and 60 pretty much every week. No lower, no higher, basically. So you kind of want to attack over that period and get in, someone who's got a bit of a higher ceiling, someone who can score a try. I just don't see him scoring at all. Just no meat pie potential whatsoever there.
He had an offload last week against Manly in the wet, and my heart
Early.
stopped. I was like, oh.
Yeah, I'd go the other way on Smithies. Not someone I'd buy if I didn't own him, probably. But if you have a look at the previous 2 weeks, they had blowout scorelines, right? So Ricky took the opportunity to give him a spell. Last week, tied a match-up again. Suddenly back to 73 minutes. It wasn't a high-scoring affair just by nature of the game, but we just need Raiders to stay in some battles, and he's hopefully going to play 70
Which
plus.
they should more often than not.
And I think without seeing his exact scores, I think he scored like high 60s 2 weeks running in their last 2 times they were in battles. So covering 13, 16, I have a feeling maybe 14 as well. No,
Got
he
the
doesn't.
bye.
Yep.
Yeah, 14.
So good time to mention it. Round 14 is tricky, so just keep an eye on that. And what I'd say before we get into the other players, this is what I've been doing lately, is just if you've got the time, write your side out, who you've got now, bring in who you need to do, and then just check the numbers for each round. Just go through it, write the number down. You might find that you're going okay, or you might look at it and go, oh shit, round 14 and 16 I've got no one, so I need to give my focus to there. It'll just give you an idea of where you sit, because as you said, every side's different. it'll probably take you half an hour, but if you've got time, just get on and do it. It'll be worth it.
Well, that round 14 bye is the Raiders, the Dolphins, the two teams I just mentioned, and I believe the Roosters. So, like, quite popular teams. So, straight up, people are going to be looking a little bit short. I think Morgan Smith is a hold through till at least round 13, potentially sell round 14, depending on your round 16 numbers. But I do think he's probably a hold. You don't have to play him each week. I think squads are getting deep enough now. Like, I'm not playing him in my team this week, barring injuries later in the week to the team. But Timoko maybe, Pod, Tarpany maybe. But, yeah, look, I'm nothing too much at the Raiders.
Just with the Raiders, given they play 16 and 13, you'll find 16 could be somewhat tricky for sides. So, again, just see if he's a number you're going to need, because if it can be beneficial, could be a good hold.
As it stands, round 13 doesn't look too difficult. It looks like, and every team will be different, but among the popular players that people own, I think round 16 and 19 more difficult. Round 16 not even that bad. But round 13, I think just naturally as it's occurred, is going to be one of the easier rounds.
Yeah, 14, 16, 19 and 20 for what it's worth. When I did my rundown, that's what looks tricky for me.
Yeah. At the Bulldogs, look, not a... Oh, actually, that's a lie. There's a bit going on here. Matty Burton, for those owners there, he's a... We don't know because of Origin. He's going to be in that Origin frame, probably thereabouts 50-50 at the moment after a good sort of stretch of form. You boys are both Jacob Kiraz owners. He, playing those first two major buy-outs, definitely a player that I'm keen on. My concern with him a little bit, and I've had it all season with him, but the doggy's left edge is just lethal. It gets the majority of the attacking balls. Not to say the right gets none, but the left gets a lot of it. We saw on the weekend, he got his base, he got his power, he scored late 40s, but I do think attacking opportunities for him are really limited there, Spy.
So watching close the last couple of weeks on the wing, they've actually started to throw some pretty good shape out on that right edge, which is good. They did it really well with Connor Tracy the week before. He got his try. He nearly got another line break and he scored about 108. Against the Tigers do this to sides. They don't necessarily win a lot of games, but it's always a grind. Their contact's good, and it just meant they didn't get a lot of space on the edges. I think even Addo Carr didn't see a lot, so I don't look too hard into that. But I believe the right edge for the Doggies is coming along okay.
Yep.
So that's really encouraging for owners. Carraz on the wing, when it goes his way, he'll have his 30 runs, which is going to equate to 6-7 tackle busts, 4 offloads. Again, on the weekend, it was just one of them games. It wasn't a 20-plus run type afternoon, but I love him. Absolutely love him. I can understand sort of the hesitation. He's not playing. He's not Dom Young at the Roosters, is he? Who could just go bang, 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 a hat-trick at any point. But a hat-trick would be nice, big fella. So
yeah,
get into it.
I'm keen, but one that I'm happy to probably wait till around 12, 13. There's so many good options, and a lot of those. Oh, before I move on from the Dogs, Sammy Hughes, break even of about 13. I think he is. He's set to peak in price next week at about 400k with a pretty tidy profit in the end. We had to be patient. The definition of a slow burn, front row forward cash cow, hasn't he been? Creeping into that sort of 35 to 40 minute regular game time. Now, Jacob Preston is on the bench again. He'll be back starting, playing 80 sooner rather than later. Jamin Salmon will move back to the middle. I don't know if that'll have an enormous impact on Hughes, just because Salmon is more of that ball playing lock, which is Kurt Mann's doing that, like Josh Curran to a lesser degree, I suppose. But Desi, Sammy Hughes, could you see yourself holding Hughes indefinitely to go through that period, or do you just think cash in while it's there?
No, I think you can definitely hold someone like that. Front row is not a position you need to really attack that hard in the bye rounds. For mine, I generally just like to attack centre wing and more upside positions. No one's really scoring that damaging in the front row other than Fanua Blake scoring 100 plus, Terrell May 120. That's the most the front row has scored in quite a few years in Supercoach. So, for me, I'm happy to have these guys who play 30, 40 minutes, plod along and get you 30, 40 points. You can just hold on to them. Yeah,
I think I'm just week to week for me with Sammy Hughes. I think I'm just going to see his minutes, see what happens when Jacob Preston starts, and if he's still getting them scoring, all right, I'll probably hold. If not, I might flick into someone like Samuel Fine.
He's going at 1.3 points a minute, which literally equates to about 50 points if he gets 40 minutes, which is phenomenal, at that price. So you just take it. But yeah, if his minutes start to go down or whatever, his output suffers, then sure, you can sell him. But for now, I think he's a good hold.
Boys, I think the team to target is the Sydney Roosters. They've got a soft draw coming up. I think they're next. They've got the Warriors this week, and then it might be the Sharks. But After that, it really softens up. This brings into contention a lot of players. Joey Manu, we're all going to agree that he's going to be a great buy, I think. Don't need to touch on him too much. Particularly if James Tedesco does get picked for Origin, because Manu goes to fullback.
You have to get him if Teddy gets Origin,
if Teddy misses, he'll be an option come round 13. Dom Young we'll get to later, but obviously a great option this week. Sammy Walker comes into the fray a little bit. My question there, though, I've already mentioned that Terrell May is a hold for me. Angus Crichton. He will miss... Oh, I'll get this up, but I think it's like... Because he's playing so good, he misses round 13, 14 and 16. He'll miss 3 of 4 weeks. He's also, off the back of these 2 massive tons, he's going to be like 850, 900K. Look, we'll reassess it when it happens, but missing those games at his price, Desi, I reckon I'll be tempted to sell him come round 13 for that huge profit, missing 3 or 4.
Yeah, I think if you have him and Fafita or someone else who's up around that price, you're going to have to make a decision on one of them. You've asked me this question for a few weeks in a row whether Angus Crichton is a must. I've said yes, he can score 150, and he's gone and done exactly that. So even that one game that he plays,
I've been saying that he can score 150.
he's gonna do it. Here he is. But yeah, he can just do it again. There's nothing stopping him. He's just playing unbelievable. He could have had a hat trick. He was a whisker away from going 180, 190. He was insane. So I think I'd almost be tempted to sell Fafita before Crichton for the money if they're about the same price, because
bad move.
He's just looking unstoppable.
So are we talking come Origin time, sell, or are we talking what if you don't own him right now?
So I was about to throw that one at you, because I generally think he's going to be a sell come round 13 for the reasons I just mentioned. If you don't own him now and he gets 3 weeks leading that period with tough games against, I know he's killed the Broncos on the weekend, and he's going to be pretty matchup proof anyway because he's a gun, but he still has the Warriors who are struggling, but they surely bounce back. Warriors into Sharks, and they miss them. So would you buy this week's buy?
I think with the break even, I would. You should make a shit ton of coin along with everyone else, lock in those hopeful tons or at least decent scores. Is he a lock for Origin? Like, he's just started playing 5 weeks ago.
He's not.
I think he is.
Yeah.
I think he's...
But if he doesn't make it, and then you've gone, I didn't buy him because of Origin, you're sitting there and he's worth $1 million, and you're like, covers 13 and 16. I can just get him now, bite the bullet. You can cash him in later if needed. It's frustrating, but... Yeah.
It's very awkward. If it was 1 week less in between now and then, I'd probably avoid, but as you said, like worst case, you're still going to earn good money on him. So
get on the gas boss.
I do think I think you'll be selling by round 13 though. Boys, the lesser draws. The Brisbane Broncos are the only team to miss the first 2 bye rounds. That's good for their... They're weirdly not very relevant at the moment, the Broncos.
Yeah, I know.
Particularly after a big loss on the weekend. But good for their Origin players like Reece Walsh, Payne Haas, Pat Carrigan. So any owners of them, actually bodes quite well for them because they've got buys when they'd already be missing games. But anyone like Brendan Piakura, Ezra Mam, who people might have been eyeing off, they become far less appealing. At the Cowboys and Panthers, they play round 13 but then miss round 16 and 19. With round 13 being one that, as I mentioned, most teams are pretty well covered for anyway. They're not overly appealing draw-wise. The Storm and the Warriors, they miss round 13 and round 19. They play that round 16. So not a great draw. Just of the other highly owned players there that I thought I'd touch on, Val Holmes misses... The Cows have the round 16 and 19 buys. I think that's good for Val Holmes. I think he becomes a hold through that period, especially because they'll need him to play. He's also playing centre, so I think he backs up from Origin barring any injuries. The question, though, Harry Grant and probably to a lesser degree Cam Munster. Storm playing round 13 and 19. I just think with the Storm flying high, it's a pretty good schedule for their Origin contingent, but I think there's every chance that definitely Cam Munster. I think Cam Munster rests during Origin because of his groin concern.
Only concern, not much backup at the moment.
There's not, but...
Pezzett did his knee.
Yeah.
Pappy's out.
Hughes will be back, though.
But yeah.
Tyron Wishart can go in the halves.
Yeah, they'll be looking to rest him where possible.
And Harry Grant, the same. It'd be different if he was averaging 90 and flying, but he's not. He's averaging early to mid-60s. So Harry Grant, is he a bloke you'd look to hold through the Origin period, Desi, and just set and forget him?
I think you have to trade him to Marshall King. I think he's going to be the guy to own a hooker over that period. We saw before the Dolphins just have an amazing bye schedule and not that tough a draw either. So, yeah, I think most people should be trading in Marshall King for guys like Grant.
Yeah, I like the Harry Grant to Marshall King play round 13, but look, it's not something you have to rush on. Wait till round 13 and just reassess the lay of the land and what things look like there.
If he's sitting around like 650k though, you might just be able to hold him and roll him through as well.
Yeah.
Different if he's worth like 900 because you can do stuff with that cash.
Of the state of origin players, and I've basically looked at just the Supercoach relevant ones, but the Dolphins, great draw for non-origin players, horrible draw for origin players. That's probably only going to be Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow and Tommy Flegler. During that period, around 13 to 19, sort of 20, they'll play a max 3 of 8 games. So, again, Flegler's been injured, Hammer's injured, so not overly relevant, but don't go there. The Sydney Roosters, sort of touched on them, but they will miss 3 of 4 games from round 13 to 16. So I think Crichton will be a sell round 13. Ditto James Tedesco if he gets picked in Origin 1. The Bulldogs missed 3 of 4 games from round 13 to 16. Potentially Matt Burton, Stephen Crichton, but he's probably less Supercoach relevant at the moment. Boys, at the Titans and the Seagulls. They missed, and this is where I put it out in the WhatsApp group and actually put it out on social media on Friday when I had my backflip. Pardon me. Initially during the week when I wasn't keen on Dave Fafita, it was because I said that he misses a minimum of 4 of 7 games over the Origin period. It wasn't until I think Thursday Arvo or like Friday morning that I did a deeper look into it, and he doesn't miss those games primarily until round 16 to 19. So he was playing 6 of 7 games up until round 16, only missing round 13. So I figured in that time I could get Dave Fafita in, which I did end up doing, and get the points out of him there. I think there's every chance Fafita will be a sell come round 16. But boys, the big ones around Origin, DCE and Tom Trebojevic. DC less relevant because of the Cleary-Hines combo, but Tom Trebojevic, he's a player that I think is a sell come round 13. They've got the Dolphins this week, which is fine, but then they go I think it's the Broncos and the Storm. I think Turbo will be a sell for that period. Desi, what do you reckon?
No, definitely not. I'm not selling Turbo.
You've asked the wrong bloke.
I know I've asked the wrong bloke.
He looks fine to me. He looked like he was about to go on and score. You know for yourself selling him. He was about to score 150.
He's looked like that for the last 10 weeks, and it just doesn't happen. I agree with you. He's unreal, but
I said it last week. Law of averages. It will happen soon. Potentially even this week.
It could be this week.
Take out the sin bin against Canberra. He didn't score that many points. He did all that damage in 10 minutes. He did explode. I must admit, when he came out of the box, he looked good to go. Second half, he lost a bit of his swagger.
He's done it all year.
He lost his explosiveness. I just wonder, can he then back it up this week? Is he going to explode into the game? Maybe just some question marks around his endurance at the moment and how he's actually... I don't know if he's trying to get himself through a bit, but it's interesting. He's not the Turbo of old. He's just playing really solid.
Yeah, he's still scoring the same amount of points. I think he's averaging still more than Drinkwater is. He's averaging 78. Drinkwater's averaging 76 or something like that. And you put the two together, it's on paper he's still outperforming someone like Drinkwater who looks better on the eye, zipping around the field, setting up tries left and right. It's a
peculiar case because Tommy doesn't have to do much to score well. Yeah. That's his thing.
And he's fine for the next few weeks, even with the draw. But, Desi, he misses round 13, round 16, round 17 and round 19. I would be shocked and disappointed if they backed him up after Origin 1 in round 14. Even if he does, that's against Penrith in Penrith. So I reckon he rests round 14. I reckon he plays round 15. He'll then play round 18 after the bye.
And 21.
And 21, he could rest round 20 against the Titans after Origin.
You can sell him, sure, but you have to be sure about you're selling him to someone who's going to score well. You brought in someone.
But there's so
many
options.
Yeah, but none of them just are standing out to me. Like
Don't
Drinkwater, I can easily just go Papenhuyzen to Drinkwater this week. He's the standout option. But then the rest of them, they're kind of a bit iffy for me.
Don't forget, come Origin though, most of us own Iro, and you can flip him down to fullback if you want, and you go Tommy to basically any centre. So it's like Manu at fullback. There's going to be those options as well, but I understand what you're saying. I just think he's a sell over that period. You wouldn't want to be stressing about, is he going to back up? Is he going to play Get that peace of mind
I
out of here.
think depending what he does against the Dolphins, he could be a sell as soon as next week when they go Broncos at Suncorp into Melbourne. If Jinky goes well this week, I can see that being a viable trade. So, anyway, I've done it, and it was very much a nervous watch the other night. Still fantastic the next 3 weeks, but he could. It's Tom Trebojevic. He could easily go 150 against the Dolphins this week, but I just think we're talking Origin period. I think he's a sell come at round 13. So,
you know what I'm quickly interested in is Tommy at some point going to go, all right, I think my body's going all right. He's going to then turn it up a gear.
Explode.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. We'll know early in the game.
I'm not happy not owning him, put it that way.
It's a nervous watch.
Boys, that's enough for the Origin period by planning chat now. Article on site. Jay's simplified it really well. He's got graphics, tables, all that sort of stuff. It's really, really good gear. So jump on and check that out. We'll leave that on the homepage for the next month or two. Second topic, and we'll get through it a little bit quicker. We won't spend too much time on it because we've already spoken about a few of the replacements firstly, but we also spoke about it last week when Kalen Ponga went down, but Ryan Papenhuyzen down injured, highly owned. You boys are both owners. What are your plans with Pappy, Desi?
I'm selling him straight to Drinkwater, as I said just a second ago. He's just looking good. They have a fairly open draw, I think, over the next month or so. So, I've never owned Drinkwater in Supercoach. I'm keen to give him a trot, despite my maybe previous hate towards the Cowboys. I'm digging deep on this one. I'm digging deep. I just can't bring Reece Walsh in. I can't do it. So it's got to be Drinkwater for me.
Let's see if I can swing you, Desi. I've got a question for you, boys. Just forgetting everything for a moment. What do you think Reece Walsh would average over the next... You'd hold him through Origin. Next, while Reynolds is out, right? What do you think he averages without goal kicking? Just take that out for a moment. You go, what do you think he averages without Reynolds?
How long's Reynolds out? 10, 12 weeks?
Let's just say 8, 9 games.
Yeah.
Just say, what do you think he would average generally without goal kicking? Give me a number.
Goal kicking. 75?
75?
I'd go 85.
80?
I think he's going to explode.
Without goal kicking?
Without goal kicking.
Right, so add in about 15 with goal kicking. What's that get you to? 90 to 100. Have to get him. Reece Walsh in. That's the only upside of Pappy going down. As soon as Walsh got the kicking, I was like, oh no.
So you get Walsh over Drinkwater right now?
I already own Drinky, so yeah.
But I'm saying if you had
I had both?
Yeah.
Drinky has Titans this week, which is amazing. It's a very tricky conundrum, that one.
Certainly is.
Yeah. But I just want you, that's how I thought about when I was like, do I get someone else? Do I get Val first? I was like, Reece Walsh has Parramatta. We all think he'll average 75 without kicking. Add 15. That's already 90. Could be more. Just going to get him
This
in.
is Broncos with Payne Haas back. Pat Carrigan's fit and firing.
Drinky's draw. You could check it while I talk you through this. I also think
It's great.
you could take a punt if you wanted just to go outside the box a bit. Teddy's averaging 84 without his HIA game.
Yeah.
Could miss Origin. You could get him in and punt on him missing it. So it's just an option. I wouldn't do it,
I thought
but
you were going to say Trell for a second.
slow down. Latrell Mitchell has an incredible buy schedule, has already basically hinted that he's not going to play Origin. He wants to focus on South. We've never seen him play with such a decimated side. So that's some question marks, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it unfolds.
It's tempting.
But Latrell at 700k, he's got to lead the show. He's still goal kicking. He's still got Cody, Jack, left edge.
Surely
Great buy coverage.
They've got to turn it around
Boys,
sooner or later.
Matty the Waterboy told me earlier they've got like 12 available players from their 30-man top squad.
It's
They are
insane.
decimated. They are terrible. Like, Latrell may or may not come back interested. I don't know. I'd assume he comes back and he fires up and he tries to get them out of this. But you have to have players around to help you. And he does. He's just lost Cam Murray, their best forward. Like, where are these points going to come from?
Do you reckon a bunch of just park potters, though, could just get the ball to Cody and Trell and Jack?
I'm
He's so
envisaging-
good.
He needs to come out and explode and be like, I'm going to dig this team out of the doldrums. You're banking a lot on
In saying all that, there's no way I'd buy him over Reece or Drinky.
Yeah, I dislike it.
But what I do...
You just saying that makes me want to do it now.
I know.
You're talking me into playing Trell.
But I do think come Origin time, if he's not playing Latrell, let's see how he could be on.
and maybe it
Tell you
is,
what.
but don't touch him for a month.
Plays
You'll
the
see
Titans
something.
and the Bunnies next to it. Sorry.
Bunnies will be
I'm
an
like, he
interesting fixture.
plays himself. What a battle. They got a lot out. I'm looking at Drinky. But he's got a good couple of weeks.
Boys, I think Drinky is the play with that draw coming up. They go, as you mentioned, the Titans, the Rabbitohs, the Tigers, then the Roosters in round 13, which is that first major bye round. He's the play, but as a Reece Walsh owner, who I think is going to explode, especially with the goal kicking, even on the weekend, people always say, oh, his floor's no good, it's not with the best of the fullbacks. Okay, his floor's, it is lower than your Tommy Turbos and your Pappies and a few of these guys, but he had probably the worst game he's had in the NRL on the weekend.
Easily.
He scored 51 points.
Yeah, he had a shocker.
He had next to no takes. He had maybe a line assist or a try contribution or something. Nothing there. The Broncos coming off that game will be given the biggest rev up. Their pack's still there. I think they'll go and fire. I'm actually very happy because I think people will go to Drinky. It scares me, but as a Walsh owner who's about to be goal kicking, I'm very excited. And as I mentioned before with the Broncos, Origin period bye schedule.
It's good.
It's good. He'll only miss the 3 games.
Reece is the only reason I turned up today after Pappy got hurt. Honestly, I was like, at least I'd go to Reece. I'm pumped. With the goal kicking, that is key. Like just adding that floor.
Boys, I sat down with a chat from Paddy from Mortgage Choice SCW. Warm welcome back to the SC Playbook podcast. Paddy from Mortgage Choice SCW. Mate, good to have you back on deck.
Timmy, good to be back, mate.
You're looking good as well.
Yeah, we're in the fresh fits. I know you've plugged them before, but these are the Pat and George SCW jerseys for anyone that comes and sees us and gets a loan at the moment.
Yeah, unreal, bloody good jerseys they are. Mate, we haven't had you on since your sizzling start to the Supercoach season, but I did mention earlier in the year you were sitting about 113th overall, about 4 or 5 rounds into the comp. There's been eager listeners out there waiting for the update. Where's Paddy sitting? Is he top 100, top 50? Has he reached the top 10? Mate, how's the side going?
Mate, in the immortal words of Jeff Tuvey, there's got to be an investigation. Honestly, I don't know what has happened. I don't know who you've been talking to, but you've put the mock on me hard because I have plummeted, mate. It's just horror story after horror story in my side. I captained Jahrome Hughes last week, 22 as captain, 44. Traded Terrell May, and then he comes out and gets, 120, something like that. There's just no end to my horrors. I think I'm at 50,000 now. So I'm way down and I'm off it.
At least you had your moment in the sun, mate. You could start to see. You and the Spire, you'll have a nice word in the green room after the show about this one. Mate, I sit here each week and I plug Mortgage Choice SCW. I had chat about what you have to offer. We've got you on at a very timely week. Bit going on over at our old mates, the RBA.
Yes. They've put it on hold again, Timmy. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
So now I don't think anyone's shocked about that, but it's a good reminder that if you haven't checked your rate in a while, have a look. Just because there's been a bit more consistency in the way the rates are going, sort of tempts the lenders to maybe look at cutting some rates somewhere just to gain some market share. So if you haven't had a look, I've had a lot of blokes up in Queensland especially looking at their rates, coming to talk to us. So, New South Wales guys, get a move on. Can't let those Queenslanders be beating us.
Queenslanders coming in.
Mate, we can help people all across the country. So, check your rate. And for anyone refinancing at the moment, you also get one of these nifty jerseys. I wear an extra small. I'm not normally this buff, so they look good. Get on it. But, mate, we can pretty much help with anything. If you've got any finance questions, just, get in contact with us.
Yeah, and that's it, mate. And it is a good time to reminder to our listeners that go, you might be based in Adelaide, Perth, regional New South Wales, Queensland, doesn't matter where you are. You can help out if they get in touch. How can they do so, mate?
Mate, there's a couple of ways. Go to our Instagram, PatandGeorge_SCW. You can give us a call on 02 9521 1611 or go to your website. I'm sure you've got the link to all our details through there for emails and things like that.
Between, mate, the falling off a cliff in NRL Supercoach, you as a Manly supporter, diehard, fanatical, me as a Raiders supporter, and somehow coming from the abyss to beat you. It's been a tough week for you, but I personally couldn't have got you on at a better time on the SC Playbook podcast.
I almost didn't come today. I almost really didn't come in. I thought, God, the Raiders, Manly, my plummeting rating. I go, it's not worth it. I should bail. But here I am. We front up for all weather here at Mortgage Choice, mate. So we're ready to face the music and all the way up from here.
Mate. No, mate, honestly, though, I've been supporting SC Playbook for a number of years. So if you're a fan of the SC Playbook podcast, all the work we put into it, and you are in the position looking to refinance, do any of these great things that Paddy can help you out with, do reach out to him, get him in touch today. Thanks for coming on, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers. Cheers to Paddy for coming in that one and talking to us about a few things, but more importantly, copying an absolute roast. He's a good man, Paddy, so thank you for that one. Boys, we'll jump quickly through our hot topics and a few players of interest this week before we do our trades and skippers for the week. Number one, David Armstrong, a bloke I had penciled in last week to bring into my team. He came in, only scored late 20s against the Warriors, but it was in an absolute... it was in a pool. They played footy in a 50-metre pool, 100-metre pool, to be fair. What, are you boys getting him in or not? Or look, before we get to trades, let's not say that. What do you think? Because, look, I'm keen on him and he's a good cash grab. The Knights do have a good draw. They do play round 13. What do you think, Desi?
I've got him in.
Yeah.
I've got him in last week.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I think he looks good. I think that was just an anomaly game. It was... no one scored particularly well, even some of the gun players. So.
Wasn't that one of the great Sunday 2 p.m. bludgers of Supercoach games? I had about 4 players, and I was just like, can anyone do anything?
Yeah, so you notice... I have a question, actually. Someone can answer this for me who's listening. Why, and it's maybe just the ground and the surface itself where it's played at, some grounds, when it rains heaps, the ball doesn't get real slippery. They pump around. But at Newcastle, it was popping out left, right and centre. So curious on that because I'd love to be able to figure out.
I wonder if it's probably just grounds and drainage and which grounds have the best and worst drainage. Like if some pool like Shark Park on the weekend, granted the completion in the Sharks Jaguars game was pretty good.
Know the difference? Like in that game, people were running and holding the ball. It was still a slugfest, but they were slipping around everywhere. Maybe it's just the surface of the grass, but they couldn't hold it.
Yeah.
Every time I went to Dallin, I was just like, he's about to drop it.
And then he did.
And then he did. In answer to your question, I reckon on Armstrong, I brought him in as well last week because I was downgrading Strange. But he didn't look to run the ball very much. He was offloading to his bigger wingers. It was a big body type game, working hard through the middle. They just wanted the big bodies to do the work. The week before in drier conditions, he ran heaps. He tackle busted. He looked awesome. Looks like it could be wet again this week, but hopefully he's shown he can hold his spot there. Could be excellent buy coverage. I really like him in the dry. In the wet, I wouldn't be playing him, but I think he's a good buy.
In the dry, looks good, yeah.
I think based on who's available, if you're looking to downgrade someone to free up cash, he looks a good buy. The other one would be maybe Jacob Gagai with all the injuries. He's probably due back soon, so you could probably punt
He's due back in a week or two or something, but so is Alex Johnston, so who knows.
So maybe just get an Armstrong like me and Desi did and hope he holds his spot.
I think it's the play, but there's some competition for that spot at the night, so I'm going a little bit cold on it, but... look, a tackle busting fullback available at CT Dub.
And 2 from 2. They won both games, so that's huge.
Boys, big question this week. People are looking at 3 CT Dubs. Ruben Garrick, 689k. He's at 68% ownership with a negative 36 break even. Jermaine Isaako.
68%?
Yeah, among the top 10% of overall ranked teams,
right.
but...
Yeah.
You want to sell him now, don't
basically, basically of still active serious super coaches, very highly owned. Jermaine Isaako, 776k, 23% ownership, negative 27 break even. Dom Young, 549k, 9.7% ownership, negative 4 break even. Boys, let's say clean slate. We don't own any of them. Des, who are you going to this week?
Isaako, for sure. I mean, I pretty clearly stated that I think he's the number one buy for, across all teams, across all positions for the buy period coming up. So over the next 8 to 10 weeks, he's a guy that you pretty much must own, I would say.
Dom Young, who you're also a fan of, despite being burnt by him earlier, is $225,000 less than him with a good draw and a good origin schedule as well.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money.
I'm getting in Dom Young this week. We'll get to that a bit later, but... yeah, like I said, I hold no grudges. Young's looking fantastic.
But you'd pick Isaako over Young if you owned
I would pick Isaako if I had the money, but I don't have the money now because I burnt it all on Valentine Holmes and David Fafita last week. But, I think Dom Young is going to be extremely good as well. Just not at that elite tier that Isaako's at. He's probably not top 5, but Isaako definitely is. He's right in the top of echelon, so... yeah, Young for me, just based on price.
Spite?
I'd buy Dom Young at 680, so I'm definitely in at 550. I've wanted the piece of him for a little bit now. I think outside of that send-off game, the infamous minus 15, he's averaging up near 75, 80. Right edge humming, buy coverage, outside Manu and Teddy. I just want to get him for the year and lock him in now.
I own Isaako obviously already and very happy to do so, but... for 220k less, that is a lot of money.
I want Isaako round 15, 16 now after that round 14 buy, and really hope he can get back to some sort of
I think if
reasonable
you
cash.
don't buy Isaako this week, that shit was well and truly sailed. He's
He'll
going to
be
be onwards of
900,
900k
yeah.
next week. And you're not paying that for him.
No, round 15.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
But just in general, yeah. I didn't get Garrick. I went the pod play with Isaako over him. Boys, I think I'm going to pot Ruben Garrick, and it's not because he's a bad buy by any means. He's a great buy, and his ownership reflects that. But sitting 10k overall, you can't go into all these weeks with the same team as everyone else if you're going to make some moves. If it's a player like Hines or Cleary or Kalen Ponga or whoever it might be, I sit there and go, okay, I need with the Pat because he can go 150, 150, 150 and just destroy you. Ruben Garrick playing centre in a team that, decent game this week against the Dolphins, but then 2 really tough games coming up. I think he can have some 30s and 40s in him. And I'm more than happy to avoid him at 68% ownership. Even last weekend, he scored 1 or 2 or whatever. 2 tries, 2 line breaks in that. Just at the ownership, there are so many high ceiling CT dubs available. I'm happy to go elsewhere.
I'm similar. I potted him last week. I think he's, I want to say got lucky because he's the kind of bloke that puts himself in positions to do it. But speaking of sin bins and stuff, he's had a couple of things go as well. On that front, I think he'll continue to make his own luck, and I still think he probably averages like 70 odd for the year, but I think his couple of big scores aren't necessarily reflective of what he'll do week in, week out, at least I hope not. I think he's a really good buy if you own him, happy days, but I'm in a similar boat. I think they cover 16 and 19 Manly. I'll be pretty keen to get him in for that period, but for now I'm going to let him go and hope some sides can sort of handle him somewhat.
Put it this way, in those Storm Broncos games, there could be 240s, and you're sitting there going, all right, well, I could have a high upside winger with softer games that go bang, bang.
Gee, I love his base. I sort of looked at some numbers between runs, tackles, a few tackle busts and goals. He tends to get like 55, 60 anyway.
He's a great buy.
So it's concerning. I'm a bit nervous, but I agree. He's probably less inclined to, hit 160 on you, but we'll see.
Boys, Nathan Cleary, obviously big one this week, even more relevant now with the injury to Jahrome Hughes. But what's your take on him? Because he'd still be in sort of some sort of doubt this week, but he has been named. We do expect him to play. Comes back and he gets the Bulldogs, but then he goes the Warriors into the Sharks. 2 tougher games, even with the Warriors' poorer form.
Also, Bulldogs' defense is as good as anyone at the moment.
So then he misses round 13, 16, 19 at a minimum. They rested him last week and he was pretty well fine. He's another bloke, and we saw it last year through Origin. Ivan Cleary, after Origin 1 last year, I think it might have been Origin 2 or something, he did his hammy and twinged it. Ivan Cleary learned something from that.
He's not playing.
No. So my question there is, missing minimum of 3 games through the Origin period, I think more. I think he gets rested. In fact, I'm almost certain he does. Is he a buy this week or not?
I don't think he is.
No.
I bought him 2 weeks ago leading into Cowboys and what I thought was South. Because I had those 2 games, then 3 more. I was like, sweet.
Yeah.
So I'm happy enough to own, but I'm pretty sure I'll be selling him come Origin. So would I want to bring him in this week with 3 somewhat tough matches coming up? We don't know how his hammy is. I'd be a little bit nervous because you know what he can do. Make sure you've got someone who's got upside instead of him, but I wouldn't be super keen to bring him in unless it's a really good upgrade and you're not really happy with the player that you'd be replacing him with.
Desi?
Yeah, I'm going to go against Spy on this one. I think you have to have Cleary. I think you just get him in. He could towel up the Bulldogs. As good as the Dogs have looked, over the last few weeks, we know that they can just capitulate at any point in time. I think Cleary is one of those guys who can score 200 in Supercoach.
He's also not that fit though.
He
got 50 against the Cowboys.
Yeah. He doesn't need to be. Yeah, but it was a training run.
Easing back in.
It was a training run. Well, we don't know how wet it's going to be.
Don't get me wrong.
Can't forecast the weather
It'll make
that
me
far
nervous, and I'm still pretty happy I own. I did it for a reason. But I think there's a lot of merit in not getting him right
I don't think I would if I own him as well. But if I didn't, I reckon he's probably sell come around 13.
Yep. 3 games before then, I think, is it? So
You can easily go 150 in one of those games, and if he does, it makes it worth it to get him.
definitely
in my
could.
opinion.
I'm not against the trade, don't get me wrong. Get him in, I'm like, happy days. But I think if you're in that position, Supercoach is about taking chances at times. I don't think it's that outrageous a crack just to not get him.
Boys,
That's for sure.
at the time of recording, Adam Fanua-Blake was the 7th most traded out player. 753k. Granted, it was only 500 people, but I don't know who they are or why or what. Like, they must have information that he's injured or something. I don't know. But
Oh, he probably freaking is.
anyway, do not trade out Adam Field-Blake. He's a season keeper. Spy talk, things you may have missed. New segment, Spy. We are running out of time, mate. Poor old Matty's in
I'll be
all
quick,
sorts of
don't worry.
there. Get through it.
This is a speed round, hot minute. Taylor May, this is so out of order, but it's fun. Taylor May ran a sweet play last week, boys, on the left edge. Might have been off Luai, and it put him one-on-one with the centre. He got half ankle tap, nearly scored. He hasn't done that all season. So the fact he ran a sweep, that's what we're looking for. Get him in some good ball positions. Makes me nervous when we talk about trades in a minute.
Just on Taylor May, he's currently the 9th most traded in player at
In?
four.
Oh, no.
At 419k with a 15 break even.
Gosh, no.
Seriously, like, he hasn't looked like getting any decent ball on that edge.
I'll skip point 2 because it's going to be in my trades. Point 3, Lomax back on the wing versus South. Happy days for owners, and maybe want to have a crack at him as well. Could play Origin, but could be a little option there. We already spoke about Latrell. My next one is Cody Nikorima, 617k. Locked up that 5'8 starting role by the looks. 68, 60, 76, and 102 the last 4 weeks. We know what he did last year when given opportunity. A little pod option there if you can sneak
What
him
is he?
in.
What, dual 5'8 what, hooker or something?
I think he's 5'8 fullback. So yeah, just for
5'8
those
fullback, he would be. He'd
that
be
might be
5'8
having a look. Looks good. Mulatalo could be on the plummet, hopefully. 3 really tough games coming up. Excellent pick-up around 13, just quietly. If you're looking at those centres, you might want to wait on someone like Terrell May.
On Mulatalo, who's 745k, break even 141. It's no coincidence that he scored 37 and 50 the last 2 weeks with Braden Trindle out and Daniel Atkinson on that edge. Cleary, Hines has just taken over everything, and he hasn't got the same quality service. Would you consider selling this week?
Yes, I absolutely would. I think he's going to plummet cash, and I think there's so many good centre options. I just said I want to buy him in 3, but I still think if I owned, I'd be tempted to sell.
Him to Dom Young could net you like 200k and the rest when the drops and rises.
And there's no reason you can't look at getting him back around Origin if you need. I'd sell him, but on the flip side, in 3 weeks could be
If you are going to sell him, you just got to ask yourself, if he comes out and scores 100 this week, are you going to want him back straight away? Are you going to buy him straight away? If he comes out and scores 150?
Well, it's the draw.
Right
I
after
think
you sell him?
they got 3 toughish matches.
They're
so-
not toughish, they're brutal.
Who are they? Talk me through them.
You've got...
Sharks.
He's got the Storm at Amy
Who
Park.
actually are quite flaky, just quietly.
Storm at Amy Park, Roosters at Suncorp, and then Panthers in Cronulla. Probably the 3 hardest defensive matchups in the comp.
Penrith's the ones that ice that for me.
And then after that, Parramatta in round 13, good coverage there, sure, but could also be missing Nico Hines. Broncos round 14, that's a tough draw.
Misses 16, yeah. Look, he looks good about round 17 there.
Yeah.
Bulldogs, Gold Coast, round 19 coverage, then run home. So maybe about round 17, boys. Good chat. Do I have anything else for you? Knights, they've got a down game coming. They've been so up. I don't know how that fits in with your plans, but just be aware. I'm just wanted to say it. And same with the Doggies, actually, mate. Is it Penrith this week? They've been up and up and up. They were so good last week. Got to have maybe a down game coming, so one to be aware of. Don't know if we mentioned this, but Frizzell back this weekend. We don't know if he's going to play edge, middle, what the plans are there. So anyone with those 2 edge back rowers in Dylan Lucas and Pierce Paul, who I can finally say his name without thinking about it, hold on there tight and just see, because Frizzell hopefully plays through the middle there, bolsters that and lets the young boys do their thing on an edge. And finally, Trey Fuller, just wanted to note how the poor bastard got Jake Clifford for his 1 game, who put up the best bombs I've seen in a long time, and hard to catch. It wasn't just him. If he got Chad Townsend last weekend, he wouldn't have dropped any of them, and he would have had 500 more tackle busts.
It's very mixed emotions that game as someone who brought in Isaako and Fuller.
But he looks good. Like, once he caught him, he looks dangerous as. So, yeah, that's just the short 1-minute version of Spy Talk.
Revised Spy Talk, things you may have missed. Boys, round 10 trade and skipper plans. Desi, I'll go to you.
I think I'm going to bite the bullet and get in. Oh, it's so tough in between Walsh and Drinkwater. I haven't made up my mind. You kind of talked me into Walsh a little bit, then you talked me back into Drinkwater, then I talked myself into Latrell out of nowhere. So
and then Latrell came out.
I'm just going to say I haven't decided yet on this one. It's going to be one I toss and turn over. But Dom Young is going to be definitely my other trade. I was thinking of boosting, but I put the boost away. I'm going to save the last boost. It's not necessary. So, yeah, it's just going to be Dom Young and out of Walsh and Drinkwater.
Beautiful, solid old trades there.
Quick shout out, one of my best mates who is actually my sporting nemesis. Great mates off the field. He's coming 96th. He hasn't done it for 10 years. He actually came 130th when he did it last. He said, I'm coming back.
He's a freak.
So good at it.
He's a freak fantasy sport player.
Jimmy Munn, fair play to you. I asked him, I go, just give us what have you done differently to others? And he said exactly what Desi does. He goes, as soon as anyone talks about wanting to sell or not do something on a good player, he goes, I just want him. And he's 96. And like that's what Andrew Langley in BBL does. So you got to start thinking a little bit that way of, think Desi, you won it 2019. It does work. It's obviously got risk attached to it, but if you can calculate it and do it, fair play. Boys, I'm going Reece Walsh in and Dom Young. Very excited about that. Had all these plans for Valentine Holmes. I spent a whole week on holidays planning how to do it. Now I'm not doing it. And the reason for that is Pappy obviously went down, so that's thrown me out a bit. And I really want Reece Walsh. It also means I can do it in 2 trades rather than having to downgrade someone, get Val, then replace Pappy. My question is for you guys. I've got option 1 here. Sell Watene Zelezniak. Leave myself 270k, which should allow me to go Terrell May to Val next week. Just lock Val in. Don't mind that, but...
Taylor May.
Sorry.
Taylor May to Val.
Sold Terrell last week, I forgot. And
May's gone.
Would you sell DWZ in that situation?
I wouldn't sell DWZ.
I don't really want to.
I think he's been a whisker away from going
From
big.
everything, yeah.
He's dropped balls over the line.
Good buy coverage.
Yeah.
Structure on the weekend.
He's been
tackling in
stiff.
the air.
As a non-owner, like watching you guys bought him, I've been death riding him. He scares me.
I can't get Val in if I keep Zelezniak.
Spy, I own him and I see merit in the sell. Like, I'm going to hold, but he goes the Roosters, into the Panthers, into the Dolphins. He said his buy coverage. He misses round 13 and 19. I know he gets the minor buy weeks, but misses 2 of the 3 major buy-ins. My thing as well is he's 679k, break-even 103. There's still good value in him somehow.
Yeah.
He he's dropped from that. Where is he?
He's 616 at the moment.
616k. So there's still a bit of value in him.
It's just teetering on value.
He cannot buy a try, but
is that going to continue is my concern.
Don't sell Dylan at 600.
So just avoid Val. Don't own Val.
Val's super overowned. I was hesitant to even buy him last week.
I prefer to have Val than Dallin.
You prefer him, yeah.
Yeah.
On that basis, I guess.
If their draws upcoming.
Anyway, I'll ponder that, but it's a really interesting decision. The other option is to sell... I initially was going to sell Terrell May until someone mentioned... Sorry, I was going to sell Drew Hutchinson until someone mentioned, what about his duel? So I just had a quick look. If I sell Terrell May instead, keep Drew there as a non-player, just doing his thing. He does play 2 bye rounds, I believe, 2 decent ones. He might knock out 40 if he's still in the side there. He actually allows me to go Drew into backup half over Origin when we sell Cleary and go Cleary to any centre I want. Because I'm sitting there going, how am I going to get like Joey Mano or whoever it may be? I think there's so much merit in holding on to Drew Hutchison based on that, just to allow that flexibility, because I don't want to go Cleary to a nuffy half who might go all right. I want the best available centre. It might be Isaako at the time.
Jahrome Hughes.
But he's got a calf. It's Sammy Walker, but he's got a low base. I was like, I would love to be able to bring in a centre. Forego a little bit of cash from Taylor May and hold on to Drew Hutchison for that flip. I think it makes sense. Thoughts on that one?
Well, Taylor plays round 13 as well.
Don't need it. I've got about 16 bucks.
Fair.
Yep. Doesn't play 16. Don't think he plays 19.
No, missing both.
Barely touches the ball. I'm like, you know what? Holding Drewy for that duel
Yeah,
could come
I don't
in
mind
very
it.
handy.
I'd probably prefer hold Hines to Origin, and if I'm selling Cleary, again, Jahrome Hughes only a week 2 with the calf, so...
I just don't trust calves. He's had 4 in about 2 years. Old man injury.
Yeah. For myself, I boosted last week, my 4th boost. I'll be saving the last one for later on in the season, probably around 2021 that I like to do. I've gone a little bit aggressive on the trades, so really happy with my team this week. There's cash incoming, just no urgent trades that need to be made. So at the moment, I'm thinking of just making one trade and potentially just Joe Chan out. He's about to start plummeting cash, barring any injuries in the back row. Joe Chan out, I can flip Benny Trbojevic back to my back row and go David Armstrong. So it'll leave me with about 200k in my bank to make some moves next week. I can also go James Schiller, who I've held on to just because I haven't needed to trade at the moment with him being out. I could also go James Schiller to Dom Young, which entices me a lot as well. But my 17's good this week. I want to save a trade, so looking at sitting on my hands at the moment. For skippers, Desi.
Well, it's going to depend on who I get out of Walsh and Drinkwater.
Yeah.
I think whoever I get, I captain for sure because they both have very succulent matchups.
Succulent Chinese matchups.
That's it.
Spy.
VC, at this stage, Hines could go Cleary because it's VC, bit of a punt, into, I think, Drinky. Do like Reece Walsh, but Drinky versus Titans just scored me 144 a couple of weeks ago.
And
Hard to
also
go past.
wet in Sydney all weekend, so I don't know what the forecast is on the Gold
Bit of rain
Coast,
up there, but not too bad.
Drinky's
So
the
I think
play.
Drinky's the play. Back him in again. I love him. Absolutely love him. And you'd be shocked to know I'm out of boost, so I'm glad to have that out of my hair. Don't have to worry about him anymore.
Overrated.
Overrated.
For myself, Jahrome Isaako, vice captain, likely. Pretty tempted to go Nathan Cleary against the Bulldogs. If it's really wet, I'll probably avoid it. But again, if I flip there, I'd be going to Reece Walsh, who also plays in Sydney on the same day. So Reece Walsh does tempt me. Leaning to Cleary, skipper at the moment, VC, Jahrome Isaako. Boys, let's punch through a couple of quick questions. Did have a few here, but we need to get this show on the road, and then we'll call it. First one from Gurinder Sandhu, Sydney Thunder superstar cricketer.
Can take a wicket.
Can take a wicket. He'll be very much in conversations come Supercoach BBL season
Bloody
of
oath.
the year. He is saying Luke Brooks to Tommy Dearden and keep Galvin ?
Hell yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Flip Brooks to him,
Love it.
especially with the tougher draw for Manly coming up.
Jimmy Munn did it. Tell everyone to do it, then he won't.
Yeah. Tommy Dearden with that draw coming up as well. No real 5'8" standing out because Galvin is getting towards his peak. I think he can earn a bit more coin and get some good scores, but I'm just going to sit on Galvin for a little bit and just see who emerges. But I don't mind the Tommy Dearden play.
He looks phenomenal.
I really like holding Galvin, but I think I would never talk anyone out of Tommy Dearden because if you want to attack him, this makes sense.
Got a big score on him.
Yep.
One from Tom Pereira. How's the forehand? Manu or Isaako swapped about 6 times. Tommy Pereira, one of my old tennis coaches.
My forehand's actually, I'm trying to remodel it. It's in disarray. Tommy, we need to talk.
My forehand is booming. My backhand's non-existent, so I need to work on that, Tom. Manu or Isaako, Des?
Isaako.
Spite?
Isaako.
I like Isaako this week.
Yeah. Worry about Manu closer to Origin.
Manu, hopefully a little bit of a price drop closer to Origin.
Hopefully,
as
can he
well.
stop scoring? Jesus Christ.
Blake Stevens, do I give up on Supercoach when my wife's team comes 14th overall for the round without even trying? That is ridiculous. Congratulations to Mrs. Stevens. I was going to say get down on one knee and lock her in, mate, but if you're already married, done. Luke Island, is Roger Tuivasa-Sheck to Dom Young sideways?
I don't mind it.
I'm doing it.
You were doing it?
I'm doing it, yeah.
I'm really happy to own both, but yeah, I like it. I think upside for Young. You just want to... RTS could easily play wing this week or fullback in coming weeks. We don't know what's going to happen if they keep losing. That's the concern.
If he goes wing, he becomes like, not a must-have, but a huge stuff.
Wouldn't shock me if it happens this week. But yeah, he's just
risking it.
he's so reliable. But I get it. Like currently, RTS's upside is capped.
Yeah, and he's over-owned. There's no two ways about it.
He will score over
averaging
the
60.
he will score over the top of Sammy Walker though in the air this week though, so you can lock in 19 there. But yeah, I don't mind it. I'm very pro Dom
It's a
Young.
luxury trade. I think if you don't have other issues and you've maybe saved a few trades, I like it. But yeah, RTS, look, he's not causing any headaches, but he's also not. He hasn't even been. I've owned, most people do, but he's not scary not to own. He doesn't look like doing much. At least from a Supercoach perspective. Boys, one from Tommy Colhoun. Would you keep Lane or Smithies for Watson? A mighty Como Croc, Tommy is. Lane or Smithies, both play early buy coverage. If you're getting Watson in, I actually don't like the Watson trade. I know Desi pre-show was pretty keen on it, but with Radley back, Cheese there, 4-forward bench, I just don't think there's the minutes to go.
You're going to play a
around.
really good 45 minutes, which would be great for
You were
NRL
keen on
and-
him, Desi.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he just looks good. Even on limited minutes, I think Watson can score well. He's just got like that attacking prowess through the middle. He's zippy.
He's so good, isn't he?
fast.
Great footballer,
Yeah.
but he's never really been Supercoach relevant, and I don't see him getting the minutes there.
Well, right now. This is his Supercoach relevancy right now.
Because there's been injuries and Victor Radley hasn't been.
Yeah, but he looks in career best form. He's making 50 tackles as well on 80 minutes.
Because he's had minutes.
Yeah, but
He's not going to play 80 minutes, is he?
you'd be crazy not to keep him on at least 50 to 60 minutes. That's what he started the season at. So if he plays 60 minutes, he's a big time buy.
Two of his games were at 5'8" for 80 minutes. He then played 80 on the weekend. Cheese injury is interesting, but just pure numbers, he's averaging 65 minutes a game this season, averaging 51. So is he going to go better than that? He could on the eye test, but the Roosters pack's scary with all those players. How do you fit them all in?
Boys,
something has to give.
If you were selling Lane or Smithies this week to get someone, who would it be?
Smithies.
Lane.
I'll be the
There you have
splitter.
it.
I would go,
Tight.
that
It's tight.
sucks. It's just like rock solid base versus higher upside. Oh, I'd probably sell Lane. That's a tough one, isn't it? Sorry, we do have to get through this. We will wrap that up for NRL Supercoach Round 10, the SC Playbook podcast. Spite.
Love you, Matty. Thanks, guys.
Desi.
Thanks, boys.
Cheers for tuning in, guys, and good luck this week.